Welcome to the Awakening Podcast. You'll find all our episodes on awakeningpodcast.org. I've got my friend Peter here, and just before I talk, we're going to discuss sovereignty. As we say, it might be natural law, common law, and all that, basically to protect you about the scum that's going on in the world and all the governments that are trying to take the money out of your pocket. I'll just let you know about the different things I'm doing. If you're interested in doing a podcasting tour, starting a podcast, or you're an existing podcaster, I offer that service. I've got 6 podcasts: crypto, Polish, meditation, speaking, and the Podfather, which is even giving tips. And if you're looking for a virtual assistant, you go to va.world and you find everything. Go to the QR code if you're watching on Spotify, BitChute, YouTube, or Rumble, or just type Roycorn.com. Peter, as always, a pleasure to have you on the show.
Yeah, great to be back again. Our monthly meeting, if you like.
Well, honestly, I thoroughly enjoy it. And the interesting thing is, every time we go away in a different tangent, and usually we have the kind of same answer to what we've done our own research. We never know what we're going to discuss. But I suppose what I'd love to start off with, because, we've mentioned it on a few of the shows, the event that you've done. So, you have, I've the list of the different people there, but obviously you've learned a few things from the people. What exactly, how did the event go, and what can you tell us about it?
Yeah, the event, it was fantastic, really. It really was. And the feedback that we got has been nothing but positive. It's been brilliant. Everybody thought that the venue was fantastic. Even the speakers coming into the venue were like walking into the main door, right? And they were going, wow, so it was brilliant, really, really well received. The speakers, we had various different speakers from all different sort of subjects, covering, obviously, let's just say sovereignty and that type of law. Plus, we was on the financial side, how to actually manage either debts, or how to actually look at decentralized finance, and also looking at the health side as well. So in reality, when we talk about sovereignty, the way that I see it is about living life in your own terms, but also it's taking care of your own affairs, looking after yourself as a man or a woman. So to do that, I think you have to be responsible for your own health, as well as your own finances, and also the way that you actually treat others. So really, it kind of covered all of those aspects. So on the health side was brilliant. We had a few different people talking about the health, everything biometrics to the energy fields. And, we know, and well, hopefully most people, especially watching your show, will know that everything in the whole universe is just about energy and vibration, and that is really what you are and what we are. So that's how you can actually heal yourself, is by, energy healing, vibration healing, and, frequency. That's basically what it is. So we had a lot of that talking about. It was brilliant. And, talking about how to get out of debt as well. It's not just about decentralized finance, but how do you actually get out of it physically now? And it was great. It was really good. So everybody enjoyed it. It was very, very tiring. Took me about a week, I think, to get half recovered. But yeah, we've already booked for next year. We booked the same venue. We're actually doing 3 days this time. We're going to do it over a bank holiday weekend, so it's going to be Saturday, Sunday, Monday. But it's not going to be until May next year, because even then, trying to book in the same place, there was already loads of bookings in then. We literally, the week after, we contacted them, and we liked it, and they thought it was great. Had hundreds of people going into their venue. So everything was an absolutely fantastic success, and can't wait to the next one, which will be the first weekend in May, the bank holiday weekend in May.
Excellent. And is it Michael or Michelle Grogan, Oxygen Therapy? So you've kind of touched on that you go there with Janine, you go into the oxygen chamber. So it's kind of explaining more about that. Yeah.
Yeah. Michelle Grogan, she actually has her own center, which is just on the River Tyne, but on the southern side on Gateshead. But it's literally a couple of minutes, just go over the Tyne Bridge and it's right on your right hand side. But they have it's brilliant. This health center that they have the oxygen chambers that you just mentioned. So you've got the hyperbaric oxygen chamber, which is like it's like lying inside of a cocoon, really. So if you imagine you see a cocoon that, like, like you're waiting for the butterfly to come out, you climb into this thing, get zipped up, and you're inside it, or a little submarine, maybe call it that. And then it's, they fill it with oxygen. So your body is getting saturated with oxygen. You get an oxygen mask on as well. So it's like the oxygen is going straight into you, and it like fills the whole thing with pressurized oxygen. So it's all getting forced like into your actual system. So you're sitting there for an hour. It's just like really relaxing.
So it's not any uncomfortable feeling or claustrophobia or anything. It's relaxing, yeah.
But I don't know. Like, I mean, I've never been bothered with claustrophobia, so it's never bothered me. I actually find it really relaxing. Just like,
is there music, or can you bring earphones? Or
you could bring your own. There's no noise. You just, I mean, you can hear things on the outside. It's not like like where you got like a sensitivity chamber. It's just, you can still hear, but you could easily put your own headphones in and listen to music and just relax. I tend to just like, do a bit of meditation. Next thing I know, they're waking me up and saying, right, come on, now you get, and that's it. I've never had, there's only one time that I've ever had a problem with it, and that was I get a lot of, I burst my eardrums, and I have perennial rhinitis. So that can cause pressure. Like, if you're going in an aeroplane, same thing. So, but it was only once. I don't know why. It's really very, very weird. But I mean, I've been in dozens of times now,
what's the price point of these things? Because I've never tried it myself. I must check it out. I don't know. Can I even do it in much?
I don't know. I mean, and there, I can't remember how much it is. I think it's about like, maybe it's like £60, something like that per
the hour, yeah.
Yeah, something like that.
And is it something you do weekly, or kind of once a month, or how often would you want to be doing this?
Oh, well, just, again, it's up to you. I'm funnily enough, I mean, I met a guy like who was in there when I was in the salt therapy room, right? Which is another treatment that they have, which is brilliant. It's just a room, and it's full of salt. Literally, the ground is covered in salt. So you're literally walking on salt. And then they've got another
You bring your fish and chips in there and pull them off the walls.
Yeah. And that's it. If you lick your lips, you can taste it. But they actually blow fresh oxygen into the room, but saturated with Celtic sea salt. So you can smell it. It's, I mean, obviously, what did they used to do in the Victorian times when anyone was ill? Where did they send them? Send them to the seaside, didn't they? Go and get some sea air, because they know that that actual salt is really good for you. So, and this guy, he was going in 2-3 times a week because he'd had a bad chest. I think he had something like asbestosis because he used to work in boilers, fixing boilers and things. So he was either 75 or something like that, and he had a really bad chest, and it helped him massively. So, but it's up to you how often you go in. I mean, we've been so busy. I've never been in this month, or the last like this year actually, But we used to go every week. We would go and make sure. What we'd do is one of us would be in the oxygen chamber while one was in the salt room, and then we just swap over, and so we get both treatments in the same day. But fantastic. And they do that ozone therapy as well in there, and they were demonstrating. They didn't demonstrate physically on a body, but showing them the treatment for the ozone, right? So again, you got to be careful what things you say, but it cleanses the blood. It fills the blood with oxygen, and we are oxygen. We need oxygen. That's what helps us to live, not just breathing it, but it's got to be throughout your body, and they can get rid of some very nasty things that can hang around in your blood, especially if you've been, taking things you probably shouldn't have been taking over the last 5 years, to actually help cleanse and get rid of some nasty creations that have appeared all of a sudden. So ozone therapy, that seems to be a very good one that they do there as well.
I remember, I don't know, this is probably going back 6 months ago, but we were talking about the Celtic salt, and when I was investigating, I think it was from the States, it was like really expensive, and you said, no, it's not that expensive, and I ended up finding it for each, and I'm doing what you said, putting it under the tongue. I get my son to do it as well. I try to do it nearly every day. that definitely helps. You feel good when you do that.
Yeah, but again, another one that we had a speaker. It was I don't know if you've ever spoke to her before. It was Dr. Joe Whitaker, and she actually has she does like like a water therapy. So they have the actual vortex machine for the water. So it actually puts the positive ions into the water. So it spins it around, and we've got one. It's got like copper, like little contraption in with the shape, the pyramid shape, and it's got magnets in it as well. So it does the vortex, which makes it negative ions, which actually I've seen it them do a live demonstration in front of us. When they get the microscope and they show you the blood, and the blood cells are all sticking together. And then after they've actually had some of the water that's been vortexed, and then they put the hydrogenator into it, you can see the blood cells that take another blood sample, and the cells are bouncing off each other like they're supposed to. So you get good blood flow. So again, which is exactly what that is. It's the vortex water putting the negative ions into the water, so it's living water, and then put it into the hydrogenator, which like just fills it, and you see it all fill with bubbles.
Not like, does it take long to do? How long does it take?
No, 30 seconds for the vortex, and then about a minute for the actual hydrogenator. You just put one machine. It looks like a little flask, looks like a
I see. And you see the thing spinning around. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. And they were there talking about that, and it was like Kelly was with her friend, who like was basically told, look, you're gonna die, and you've got so many different sort of diseases, right? Like fatal diseases, you may as well give up now. And there she is. She couldn't walk anymore. Whatever happened to her, it was very strange. She was actually in a fitness class when she started feeling ill, so she was always looking after herself. Something bad happened, but she actually cured it all herself. And they were showing about the energy that was in. So they've got like these special well, I can't show you any right now. Oh, actually, I have got one which helps, because it's all about EMF as well, protecting you from EMF. So I have it on the back of the phone, and it protects you. So it gives your aura, protects your aura, which we're talking about energy. So obviously we know we have our energy, don't we? We know it. So no matter what you do, you put off an aura. So when you walk into a room, you give off an aura, but so does everyone else. And you've walked into a room before and you just thought, I don't want to be in here. I don't like it. You don't know why, but there's a bad energy in there and it's time to leave. Well, that's whatever aura is in there or has been left from whoever is in there is a negative energy. And there is a lot of negative creatures around this realm. So, and you can feel them. You can feel it before you even see them, so that they were demonstrating with dowsing rods, and the dowsing rods were either spinning away from people or going towards them, and it was just showing that aura field, the protective field. So all of that stuff was all shown and videoed. It was fantastic.
Yeah, I got like the ozone generator here. Normally I do the water, or if I buy apples and things like that. But I was getting a cough, and apparently, unless you were well ventilated, so in the winter I wouldn't have the windows open. In the summer, I'm always opening the windows. So I was getting a lot of cough. I didn't realize it till later. It was my mother was saying, that's making you cough. And then when I started researching it, but what I did, I went to the gym the other day, and like, I used to smoke cigars before, but then I gave it up. I said, oh, it's not good for me. But my brother was here for the Christmas, so he had a cigar. And I did it in a different room, so it wasn't affecting anyone in the house. I did it in kind of a room that people don't go into. And it was stinking for ages. And I was thinking, like, trying to get rid of it. And just the other day, I had an urge to have a cigar, and there was nobody there. So I said, yeah, just sit down and watch the telly and have one. And then I was like, oh God, the smell is going to be here. So when I went to the gym, I turned it on. And when I came back, and there was no smell. So it got rid of the smell.
Amazing.
Yeah. So, because it can linger, but it's supposed to get rid of all the bugs and everything. But yeah, that's the thing. You have to, for them ones, it's either have it well ventilated or do it when you're kind of going for a trip or going shopping and things like that. So
yeah, I mean, this ozone thing, this is literally they can take your blood out of you and put it back in. There's a few different versions of, there's different ways that it can actually do it and put the oxygen in the body. I don't understand it all because I've never actually like used that treatment myself. Although I should, I fancy giving it a try now after watching them at the event at the beginning. I'm saying I was going to say like last year. It was only a couple of weeks ago, but it feels like forever ago now. It's just like everything's. If you think it's next week, it's March. I mean, it's madness.
I don't know. It's like it's just going so fast this year. Last year was like a blink, and yeah, like you say, it's we're heading into March.
They're speeding it up, man. They're speeding it up.
So on the crypto side, then, because that's a wild west and there's so much going on. What was there anything that you'd like to share that was discussed?
Yeah, I mean, to be honest, I wasn't really listening because this is stuff that I've like known, like because the guys are my friends, So like they actually teach me and help me all the time. I don't know anything, right? I just like listen to them and I do what they do and what they tell me. They have been incredibly successful, so they all got to be the ones you want to be listening to. You never take financial advice from someone who's broke. So, but basically what it is they're looking at decentralized exchanges so that you don't have to, once you're involved in it, you don't have to worry about, the know your customer thing to,
That's the worst thing. Like you can buy straight away any coin, anything, but when you want to cash out, that's when it's major problems.
Exactly. But on this exchange now, if you compare it to, say, for instance, let's just call it on an Ethereum network. So, you've got your Bitcoin, right, which is the biggest one. Obviously, it's going mental right now. I think it will continue doing that for at least the rest of this year or towards the end of this year. You've got Ethereum, which is probably the one that's closest to it in value. But they also use the Ethereum network. So if you ever try to exchange like one currency for another currency or anything like that, you have to pay what they call gas fees. And they've always, when you're using the Ethereum, been quite expensive. So sometimes it can actually make it that you don't want to exchange the coins. So if you think, well, I want to exchange this currency for that currency, but I'm going to lose £100 if I do that. And then it's going to take me a month to gain the £100 back, and I'm not going to bother. Literally on this exchange, on the decentralized exchange, it is, well, it's not pennies because it's in cents. So it's like literally where it would be like, £20 on the Ethereum. On this one, it's like 3 cents. So, you don't have to worry about things like that. So you can exchange the coins a lot faster or the crypto a lot faster and a way, way, way less cost to you. And also they've got ways, which I think a few do have as well, where you can get debit cards that are linked to it. So you don't have to go to a like off ramp, they call it, to go to into a bank, into fiat, and then you can get access to it. You can get access to it directly. So there's a lot of different things that are happening in the background. And I think this is probably going to be a very productive year and a very interesting year if you've got involved, which I think, if nothing else, you should definitely be getting involved in the crypto without doing anything ridiculous, trying to expect to become a millionaire that, within a week and never listen to people who say that to you either, or give you a guaranteed return or any of that nonsense, because it doesn't exist. But, it would definitely be a time to get involved. And they were using like Pulsex, Pulse Chain, Hex, like cryptocurrencies all coming underneath a guy called Richard Hart. And he's kind of like Marmite, you either love him or hate him, but he's a genius. And he was a multi-millionaire before he actually got involved in what he was doing now. So he doesn't need to do it for the money. He takes no money out, right? And he's got his own networks. He leaves it in. He does what's called staking. So he's actually staking all of his crypto for about 10, 15 years, which means can't take it out at all, ever, until after that 15 years. So whereas you see the other ones, a lot of these people who pump up these cryptocurrency coins and they say, yeah, go and buy it. And because everyone starts following them, buy it, the price goes up and up and up and up and up. And then the guy who's been telling them to actually buy it all the time then sells all of his because it's at this huge high price, pulls the rug, as they call it, and
Like
the price
the
collapses.
Argentinian president done it just recently, and it's like,
Yeah.
and then he goes along to Elon Musk, giving him a chance. Like the whole lot of them are involved in this, and you just have to be very careful. I mean, I think he made 100 million or something like that, and yeah, there's so much, and the hop too. I mean, I don't know that we touch on that, but I know I mentioned it on my crypto podcast. Like, and like the funny thing, it was a guy called Coffeezilla. Like, he's brilliant. He's got a great YouTube channel and everything. But he was on the call with the Hawk 2 one, when they were doing their mean pump and dump kind of thing. And you could tell she hadn't a clue. Like, so people just used her social media presence, tapped into her. And I didn't hear that, but a friend was telling me the other day that even later on, she said, "Yeah, I'm tired, I'm going to bed." So, you're just going, there's no kind of comeback for a lot of these people. But then again, if you're going to invest in somebody and their claim to fame is Hawk 2, it's kind of on you as well. So when you're bringing people on stage and you can see who's actually really made money, because there's people like, say, on TikTok or on a lot of different things. I could go in now and I could talk about so many different things and make predictions and then remove all the ones that I was wrong with. And I can say 6 months later or next year, look, I said this and this date. I could have said both different versions, and and people are doing that. And unfortunately, people then think, oh, he knows what he's talking about. And they're either paying for a course to go with him, or they're investing in something that he's involved in, because a lot of the social media, they get about 20 of these people or 100 people who just then spread the information. Oh, you need to buy XRP, you need to buy this, you need to buy this. And people, unfortunately, like, what I say is, do it with play money. Don't do it with the house cards. Like, if it's money that you need and you think you're going to double it or 10x it or 100x, do it with money that you can throw into the bin and go, you're not going to cry. And then it's okay. But yeah, you have to be very careful.
Oh, most definitely. Yeah. I mean, yeah. And a lot of these people that are sort of like really wealthy with it have removed sort of like their wealth from, like a risky coin going into stable coins, and whatever they're leaving in there is what you just said. Well, they wouldn't care if it went up or down. So, it's yeah, as long as you're not being silly with it. And what I would say, next year we've actually got a guy coming on. He's been like a gold investor for a very long time, and he actually has presentations on how to like invest in gold and the difference between an asset. What's an asset? Whereas a lot of people say, well, I've got my home is my asset. It's not an asset. It costs you a bloody fortune, right? And they can switch it off at any time they like. They talk about, oh, cryptocurrency's dodgy. What about your fucking house? Right, we'll go back like 2007, 8, 9, right? It was worth 300,000, then it was worth 50 quid. Right, and the banks would say, "Oh no, you've got
yeah, that I house for 400,000 euro, and then I was told it was 125,000 euro in this choice of
it's negative equity, so you've got to get out. We want your mortgage back, or you can't.
And you're still paying the difference for us.
Yeah, so I mean, it happened. It happened to me. It's like it is what it is. So there's no such thing. But on the gold side, I can't remember exactly. It's great the way he described it. Right? I don't know. You had these little chews when I was a kid called blackjacks. Can you remember them? They're like little licorice blackjacks, they call them. And that's how he says, when they switched the currency from the pence, right, where you would have shillings, pounds, and pence, then they changed it to decimal currency. They were changing it between 1969 and 71. I think 71 was when it finally went. Whatever day, it was like, bing, from now on, you can't use that money anymore. It was a reset, right? Okay. And he was just saying, he said that, they were always trying to sell it on to the people. A pound is a pound, a penny is a penny. And he was saying, like, he compared the two. He says, well, I know that for my penny, right, when it was pounds, shillings, and pence, I would take one of them big pennies, that big, and I could go and get 10 blackjacks. Right. He says, now I get a penny and I go in. He says, and I'm getting 2 blackjacks. So don't tell me that a penny is worth a penny, be it on the decimal currency or the pounds, shillings, and pence, because it isn't. So but that's how they fooled everyone and tricked everyone. That is inflation. And he said it. Well, there's inflation. As a little kid, I knew I wasn't getting as many blackjacks for my penny. So, but it just helps it sink in. Well, I can relate to that. I can get that. And he was just, again, did a demonstration of if you had put the money into gold instead of buying a house. And I don't mean you don't buy a house. Well, most people don't buy it. You put, say, a 20 grand deposit on the house, and then you're in debt for the rest of your life. But he was saying, like, then that happened in 2007, 8, 9. Everyone lost, well, most people lost tons and tons of money. A lot of people actually lost their houses, etc. And he was just showing, if you'd have put that 20,000 deposit into gold, right, by the time it come round to like 2007, 8, 9, it was worth 144,000. So he says that is an asset, whereas your house can never be an asset. But I mean, it just like makes you think, like, wow, yeah.
And because I heard that Trump was talking about going to Fort Knox. I don't know, has it happened since? Do you know? Because the way that they're talking is like the gold isn't there. Has there been an update on that one? Do you know?
But I mean, the thing is, if we go talking about that, I've seen the little clips about it, and they're all dropping like hints, about Fort Knox, as if like, oh, we'll tell you later, but there's nothing in there, by the way. But if we go back to like 1971 again, we're talking about that date, that was when France actually sent their warship over to New York in the United States of America, full of US dollars, and said, we know you haven't got the gold to back up the dollar like you say you have. Here's all your dollars back. Fill this warship with gold, which is what they did. So then France are taking all their gold back to their own country. And then Nixon, after that, very shortly after that, detached the dollar from the gold system. So, it was no longer backed up by gold, which is why they'd sent Henry Kissinger over to Saudi Arabia and the Arabian countries to then try and get them to trade oil only in the dollar, hence called the petrodollar. So they're saying that that is what was backing up the dollar. But in reality, the value of a dollar is nothing. There is zero. But ever since the Bretton Woods Agreement in 1944, after the war, when they made the agreement, there was about 100, not quite, but nearly 200 countries agreed that the US dollar would be the world reserve currency. Well, it was backed up by the gold, and it was like, I can't remember now, what, 32 cents per ounce would be the dollar. And that's why France sent the warship over with the dollars to get their gold back. So they took all the gold, and then they knew other countries were going to do the same. That's why they got rid of the gold standard tied to the dollar, because they would have just had a massive, like a run on the bank. They would have had a run on their gold. So where has it all gone? And there is a lot of other countries that have been buying and hoarding and keeping gold, not trading it, just keeping it. Now in our realm, we do know that like precious metal, like gold and silver, but really gold is the only thing that is actually really money, if you want to call it money. But it's, because it's the only thing that's lasted for as long as we can know of or been told. What if anyone's ever telling the truth? But there's any value for it.
I wondered about the gold, to be honest with you, because I mean, I know in Africa there's loads of people, a lot of mines in there, and I mean they're finding gold everywhere. But if we look at the diamonds, I mean, the bears, they manipulated that to make it look like there was a shortage of diamonds, and there wasn't. And I was wondering, is it the same with gold? Because if you look around, how many people are wearing massive chains and there's like loads of jewelry? There's a lot of gold there when they're kind of saying is limited. So is it the same thing? I don't know, but I'd have more trust in having gold than paper currency, which they can just change overnight. I mean, look at in Germany what they did, and like Venezuela and everything. So
yeah, plenty other places as well. And the thing is now, like, we don't know what's going to happen. Nobody does, I mean, it's like there's so many different rumors that are going around, if they're called rumors or stories or theories and whatever. But your fiat currency is literally worth nothing. It is just simply a promise. It even says on, get your wallet out and pull out a dollar note or a £10, and it says a promise to pay upon demand. So it's not actually anything whatsoever of value, only apart from because they agree that it's valuable to go and buy a certain, thing at a shop or right now. But as you say, like they can change that with a click of a finger, and then the next thing, you can't buy anything with that fiat currency. So yeah, but that's what I was saying. what I would be doing, the whole point of that is like, if you do get involved in a cryptocurrency and it does like fly up and you're getting a massive amount of value, I would be looking to like convert that value into a different asset like gold, because you can do that and then convert it into something that you do know holds value. It's never ever like gone down a ridiculous amount. It's always either going up or staying steady. Whereas like literally, overnight you can see a cryptocurrency like drop 90% of its value. And that's just we see that time and time again. Now I do know that this is what they'd call the bull run. It's all building up. You can see it happening, and that will happen, that they'll all go up. But that is definitely something that follows the science of whatever goes up must come down. And in cryptocurrency, that's 100% true.
Yeah, and I know that, well, I mean, I'm not a fan that the likes of BlackRock have so much of it, but what they're saying is because there's so much in it now, usually what happens is they sell it all when, and like, I think over the last 12 or 13 years, Bitcoin, every kind of 3 years is up the top, then it's down the end, up the top, better upbeating everything. But the thing is, they're saying the next one, when it drops, it won't be the same because they're not going to be selling it. Whereas before, most people were selling, and hence why it dropped so much. So it's going to be interesting when this bull run kind of ends.
Yeah, I mean, if they don't sell it, then it won't drop as much. That's true. And that's what I was just talking about there. Richard Hart, when he's talking about on his PulseX, Pulse Chain, the Hex kind of like network, he's trying to educate his followers that, look, this is what you should be doing, same as I'm doing. So he's showing them how to do it. He's staking or putting, like, investing it. Say, like, you go, I don't want to call it like an ISA, and you put 50 grand or whatever it is in an ISA, and you leave it in for a certain period of years. Similar thing. So you go and put your hex coins in there or whatever it is, because there's a few different ones tied to the same coin. You leave it in for 5, 10, 15 years. So he's saying, hey, this is what he's already done. He showed them how to do it. So if they go in and they start copying him, so the value will stay in there. So that's what he's trying to educate people in, to be long term. Don't think about 1 year, take it out, run away. Think about how you can let it steadily grow over a longer period of time. And then if more people started copying what he was showing, it wouldn't go up, boom. It would get more like gold, where it might drop a little bit, then it'll go up. Then, that's what it would be more like. So that would be good. Maybe, if BlackRock were doing that, that might be an actual kind of a positive thing in one way, to stop everyone being so crazy with crypto.
Yeah. So I know we've touched on the calendar month a few times, and I think another stage as well, where two weeks just disappeared, when they decided to do it. But I'm seeing some of your email on your list where you're going into detail on it, and I think it's fascinating. And I suppose just kind of before you kick off, it's like the reality is, like, a woman's cycle is every 28 days. It's not 28 days, then 31 days, then 30 days. It's like, and there's a load of information previously showing that it was 13 months. And I know some people think put on your tinfoil hat and everything, but you've got a lot of information on that one now.
Yeah, but and the thing is, if you go back to sort of like where did you get these months from anyway, right? Where did you get, like who decided it was called January, February, March, and so on? So if we take it right back to before even that, we've got the calendar that we have now, which is called the Gregorian calendar, which is like by Pope Gregory, can't remember now, something like the 13th or something like that, right? But so he reduced it to try and bring it into more in line with his version of Christianity, that the Catholicism that they wanted then. But before then, it was from Julius Caesar. So, but Julius Caesar had a 10-month calendar. So what they'd done was they added on to the beginning of the calendar. So the Gregorian calendar, again, off the top of my head, 1500s, 1540, something like that, was when he introduced it. And then the usual Catholic thing, they forced all the other places that they had to actually go and start using it. And that was trying to bring it into line with like the well, they call it the solar system, right? Well, in reality, nature, forget about, what is it, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, or is it January, February, March? What is nature doing? Because, the moon will do what the moon wants to do. Doesn't matter like what calendar time you put on it. The sun will also do that. But nature and the seasons and the animals, no, they don't have to be told what date it is. They're going to know when they have to grow. They're going to know when they have to reseed. They're going to know when they have to like mate and get the next generation of, ducks or whatever it would be, going into the season. They only have their babies, or their eggs at a certain time. And it is a 13-month cycle. And it's 13 months with the moons and the tides. The tides are the same. We've got records going back hundreds of years, right? So like last year I went and took my my boating license again because I wanted the international one. And on the international one, they wouldn't recognize my Royal Navy qualification, which to me is nuts, right? Because that's a military one. It's like far more in depth. But where is it now? I just put my finger over the actual number. But so I took the Royal Yacht Association boating license just so that I could get the international one because they'll recognize it. So going over all of the navigation aids, the navigation signals, what the charts mean when you're reading them, and what all the arrows on these charts are. What they all are is like the seasons and the tides and the directions of the sea, which has never changed in hundreds and hundreds of years. The tide comes in at the same, goes to the same level, goes back down. If there's a difference, it's a millimeter. And that's like from hundreds of years of these charts. So to hell with your climate change or your climate crisis or anything like that. The tides flow in and out of the same way. The sea always goes around whatever shape you want to call it. Who knows? But it always follows the same direction. It's never ever changed, right? So that is all nature. That is all natural. So, and it all relates to 13 months. All of those 13 months are 28 days. And then you have one extra day, which they call the day of rest. The day of rest and recuperation, because there's all that one extra day. So at the end of the year. So if we look at the Gregorian calendar, they couldn't work it out. They couldn't figure it. Well, what should we do? Oh, well, let's add 1/4 of a day, which we've got spare, and we'll stick it in every 4 years and make it a 28-day month. I mean, it's just, a 29-day month. It's just nuts, So, I mean, what I had done is I had looked at it from like more of going back to mythology of Scotland, actually, and because that's where I'm from. So looking at like the old gods, which are kind of linked to the Norse gods, because that's, they're so close together, and obviously a lot of cross trading and raiding and everything like that. So and I just, let's show me and try and bring up these names that it could be from, the 13-month in Scottish Gaelic. So that's what I've done. But it's just to show it, and then I put in, it was all about the moon. It's all about the wolf moon. And, because that's really what it was. And it was about, the hag of winter, the witch of winter, which is, if you imagine it, it's like, that's when everything's dying, when everything's going cold and nobody wants to be outside. And, like at least in the Northern Hemisphere anyway, where it's like freezing and windy and horrible. And then the different like seasons as they're coming through the months. And we know, right, which is why you get April Fool's Day, because everyone celebrated the beginning of the year. It wasn't the 1st of April, it was in March, because everything, you can see it now. There's actually daffodils and crocuses and snowdrops, right, all growing as we're walking through the woods when we're taking the dogs out. So you can see it's all coming to life. We can see the ducks are pairing up, getting ready for next month, which is when they're going to start to, like, get breeding and get laying their eggs, because this is the birth. This is the new year, coming into March time. It's spring. It's real. It's nature telling you everything's coming back to life. Here is your new year. And that's why they used to call people an April Fool when they were forcing them to go in on the Gregorian calendar to say, no, it's got to be the 1st of January, right? And that's what they added on, January and February. they added them on to the Julian calendar, which was only the 10 months. And if we look at the old, well, it's still called it now like December. Well, what is dis in Latin? I mean, it means 10. So that means in December, we're actually saying December is the 10th month, but it's not. It's the 12th month in the Gregorian calendar. But that's only because they left them as they were and they just added them on at the beginning, and they left the other ones as they were. So you've got like October, Oct is 8, September, Set is, it just goes on and on like that. So it's like all of them Latin sort of like numbers at the end. They just didn't bother, changing them. And then the ones that you had like July is after Julius Caesar himself, and August is after Augustus the emperor as well. So the whole thing is about control. That's all it is. The calendar, the Julian calendar was about political control, right? The Gregorian calendar was about political, and it is political, but it's like religious power and political control. So you're going to have your seasons when we say so. It doesn't matter what nature does. You're going to have your months and your new year when we tell you to, not when it is the new year, when nature's coming alive, when we're actually bursting into a new year. You're going to have it in the winter when everything's closing down, because that makes sense. So excuse me, that's why I did that series of emails, and there's a few more coming out as we progress through the months. And then it's like going into a lot of mythology about the Norse gods, and tying it in with the Gaelic, Scottish Gaelic. But it's interesting stuff. It's good stuff,
And what about the hour change as well? Because not every, like I know Pakistan, I think Russia doesn't do it either, and the Middle East don't do it. So like in Europe, most of Europe, they change the hour, and it's the same thing that's affecting your cycle, because you go through a rhythm and you know what kind of, and then all of a sudden it's changed. Like 6 months is plus or minus an hour.
But it's nuts, isn't it? I can't remember what as a movie I was watching years and years ago, and they were actually talking to, well, in the films they would call them Indians, in the United States, but it was like the natives that were already there, and he said it would only be a government that would cut an hour off the end of a day, put it on the beginning of the day, and think that it made a difference.
I heard they said the same with a blanket, like that you're cutting the end off, sewing it to the top, thinking you have a bigger blanket. Like,
yeah, same thing. It's just, yeah, there you go. So what sense does it make? I mean, there's all sorts of like stories saying it was because to help the farmers and all of that type of thing. But in reality, right, like when it's time to get up and when it's light enough to work, they'll get up and light enough and work, and they have to work in the dark. I mean, I was in the fishery protection squadron for about 18 months, I think. So, they don't like say, well, we can't go and fish because it's nighttime, it's dark. They say, well, what time is it? Is that hour ahead or hour below or whatever? When they can detect a shoal of fish, they're going to start laying the nets. Or if they've laid them and they say, right, now it's time to bring them in, they're going to bring them in. Doesn't matter if it's pitch black. We were boarding fishing boats, and 1, 2, 3 in the morning, couldn't see a thing. They're incredibly dangerous, and the waves like smashing you to pieces, and you're trying to get on these tiny little fishing boats from your little dinghy, absolute insanity to do that type of thing. And it's all pitch black. So, you can't tell a farmer or a fisherman, well, you can't get out and work yet because, we haven't said we've added that hour on, so it's not light enough for you. They're going to go out and do whatever they want when they need to. It's crazy.
I think they used to, when we were younger, it was kind of like it was done because it would be brighter for the kids going to school, but sure as they're coming back. So that even didn't make sense.
No, exactly. I remember all of that as well. Yeah, it's that, well, we're going to change it so it's easier for you to walk to school. But I'm on the bus. Shut up. Yeah.
So I know you talk about protecting your devices as well. And yeah, I mean, I watch a lot of different videos where they're catching all these scammers, and it's unreal. It's rampant now. Like they're just constantly, especially with the AI as well, they're using voice, they're ringing up people and everything. And a lot of the times you just click on something and wham, you've got the virus. So maybe touch a little bit on that, protecting your electronics.
Yeah, for definite. And there was a guy we actually had, Aiden, and he was talking at the event, and it was about how to actually go and be using whether your phone or a laptop, computer, whatever it is, and you can access the internet. But he was talking about how you don't have to use all of these programs, like that they actually give you. Like Microsoft itself it is just an enormous virus, and they will track and steal everything that you actually put on there. Don't
It's
ever think
thousands. I remember seeing some the thousands of data points they keep taking from you.
all the time, all the time. It is just he said, "Oh, I'll give a virus protection." That is the virus, and
Kind of sounds familiar with what else Bill Gates was doing, wasn't it? He's offering you protection for the virus.
exactly, yeah. But you can do quite a lot, but you'd have to go and listen to that guy Aiden, because he was so very clever, very technical. But there is a lot of other things that you can do, but most of it, and this is the people just do not think, when they go onto these sites or anything, or even on the phone, and they'll just download app after app after app. You are just getting your data shredded all the time, and they're taking it away, and they're making fortunes out of it, by the way, you know, which is, the same thing when, like we're talking about, like, people going into the supermarkets, and they've got these massive big videos of you walking in and out. And then when you're buying stuff, they make you do all the checking out. So they're making you work for free, but they're recording everything as well. They see everything you buy, what you look like, roughly what age you are. Are you male? Are you female? Are you one in between? Are you actually, like, what are you buying for that? And they know it, and they collect all of this data. They've got it videotaped, and then they're selling all of this data. And it's just the same whenever you go on the internet. If if you
Like the
use,
cookies, I mean, that drives me crazy because
yeah,
I use Sea Cleaner and it's like thousands weekly. And I use Brave, which kind of blocks a load of stuff. And yet
yeah,
still there's so much tracking that goes on. And as you mentioned, you download something, and like I was using AGV because I was thinking, tried to speed up the computer and everything, and it done more damage than anything. And I removed it just this week, and the computer's back to normal again, fast and everything. And it was like driving me crazy because I wasn't productive. I was like, what's going on? I was trying to defragment and everything, remove all these so-called virus protectors, and yeah, 100 times easier.
yeah. I mean, it's like when you first get a new like laptop, and you're trying to set it up, and it's already got like what they call virus protection on, and it does actually cause more damage, and it's or blocks a lot what you don't want blocking, and the things that you're trying to block, it won't block. Yeah, it's crazy. But this guy was going back to, like, Aiden, he was telling people to go back to use, like, is it Linux or Linux?
Linux, yeah.
And obviously it takes a bit more work from you.
I was using that years ago, no, before you touch on that, and because I hate Microsoft. I've like just detest it with a vengeance. It's like I just don't like anything that man touches. And the problem was every time I'd save a file or whatever, I can't open it. I can't open it. You'd be trying to send some Word document or Excel document or something, and nobody could do it. So it became a burden, and which is a shame because it's open source.
Yeah, well, that's the thing, and he was talking a lot about, like, using all of these other systems, but when you're doing that and you're trying to, like, work with somebody else, that's when does become problematic. That's an issue, and it is an issue, which is, I think, what they've created the issue to make sure more and more people go on and use their systems so they can actually track everything. I think in reality, I think you've just got to be, like, so strict on yourself on what you will actually show and share, and I mean share by literally saying, me and you are going to send emails, like, you've got to be careful what you put on those emails. Don't think anybody, there's no privacy. There isn't. Anything that you think that you were doing private. I mean, even look now, what are they just doing in the UK? They're actually demanding Apple now unencrypt all of the software so that the government can go and access all of these messages on Apple, on iPhones and everything like that. So, it's all in uproar now, but in reality, I'll be thinking, yeah, I bet they'd had it all along anyway. This is just a pantomime. There's no way in the world that they don't know what's going on. They
There
spy
was
on
a
everyone.
franchise business that I got involved with years ago, and I had to use Microsoft, and I didn't really want to, but for this system that they were doing an email, whatever way they, all of my Google, because I connected my email account, everything that had been previously deleted appeared, and I was like, "Ooh, this is scary." It meant nothing is ever deleted. So even though you go in and you delete, and you assume, oh, nobody sees that, it's never deleted.
No,
So, so be very careful what you write and everything. You could, start sending somebody something, just, oh, we both delete that now and it's gone. Nothing is gone.
no, not at all. There was actually I was listening a few years ago to like that Max Egan, and he actually said the same. Said, don't think that you've deleted something even like 4, 5, 6 years ago that it's gone. It'll be stored somewhere. Once it goes onto the internet, it stays on that system. You might delete it, but it's just going somewhere else, and it's there and it's stored and it's ready to be used at any time that somebody thinks that they want to use it.
No, exactly. Like
Somebody
they
with it.
decide, hey, we want to take you down. Oh, look what you've done in 20 years ago or whatever. Like, and what can you do? It's just like,
Yeah.
and everybody's done something in their life, no matter what it was. So that's, they have full control over everything.
Exactly. It's the same thing. How many times, like if you've been in an argument and said things you should never have said.
Of course, we've all done it. Like, you just act on impulse before we grew up a bit,
Yeah, but sometimes you didn't even mean it. You don't even think like that or feel
See,
it.
wait, and then you've like, it could be an hour later, you've regretted or you start making it up and everything, but it's out there and that's there forever.
Yeah. So same thing, like if you're doing it on the internet and you say something, even like in anger like that, it's like that's it stuck and it will be there forever. So be careful. We used to teach the children in the martial arts, and it was like, if you're getting angry, if you're getting into an argument, it's like be calm, breathe. So like slow down, breathing. Got to stop saying there. Make sure you don't say anything that you don't want to say. And I always just say, like, think about it like you're throwing darts at a dartboard, but you're missing and you're hitting the wall. So you can go to the wall, you can pull the darts out, but there's a hole there, and there'll always be a hole there. So think about that, the words that you're actually saying. If they're going out there to hurt somebody, yes, you can say sorry, but that hurt will still always be there, even if they say it's fine and we accept your apology. So think of that and take that onto the internet. Anything that you don't want anyone to actually repeat to you, what you said, this is your opinion. Make sure you don't write it anywhere.
And
That's why they've invented social media.
But Snapchat, like if you send the image, like you send the image, you see it, and then it's gone. And there's actually ways that they're showing. One, somebody has another camera and they're recording. So even though you can't take a screenshot or whatever, because sometimes, unfortunately, teenagers, they're sending sexual images and stuff like that, and people are using it and selling it and upset. But now there's even people. I'm not going to say how it's done, but there's ways that actually people can record it and save it. So don't even do that. Like, like, unfortunately, people, they feel like they're in love or whatever, and they do something stupid. And that can, unfortunately, then people get suicidal because of things like that, because they just share it with the class thinking it's great fun. They don't, they're just thinking they get popular by sharing somebody opening up their emotions and everything. So Snapchat is deadly as well.
Oh yeah, for sure. Yeah. I mean, I don't really know. I don't use like much stuff like that, but I've heard
Better
of
off staying away from it.
Yeah, down. Yeah. I'm definitely not sharing any images, but
Don't share them with me anyway, please.
but it's like no, you like I say, the best thing is just to like make sure you don't get drunk on it. Don't because then you obviously you lower down your systems of protection for yourself, and you do say things or feel things and allow your expressions to get carried away where you would never ever do that normally. So, but everything gets kept, everything gets stored. So it doesn't matter how secure you are going on to what is it called, Proton, and they're saying like, oh, that mail there, it's all. No, it's not.
No.
It's like
And even
nothing
WhatsApp
whatsoever.
encrypted and Telegram and everything. 100% I know they're not, because it was like, I think I'm not that I mentioned it with you, but I know I mentioned it at some stage. It was somebody had asked me about a book writing, and I wrote back to them, and next I saw the advertisement for that person. They were like, fucking hell, this is dangerous. A
Mm,
so-called encrypted site, like,
mm.
so yeah, and even there's no encryption. It's,
No,
yeah.
no, it's, they've got control of everything like that. And, the people that want to say what you're saying or doing, then they're going to say everything. So to me, it would just be the best thing is just like, unless you want to go on a show like this, and you will put out, well, this is exactly how I feel, this is what I know, and this is what I'm saying. But, and if there's anything you don't want anyone to actually repeat back to you, make sure you don't say it at all.
And even like, because we're both kind of exposing a lot of stuff and share. And I presume you get this as I get a lot of times where people come up to me and they thank me for all the stuff I'm doing, but they're afraid to give a thumbs up, they're afraid to give a comment, they're afraid to share because they think they're putting their head out, and like, if you're living in fair, it's they're winning. So if you know something is wrong, we all have to stand up and say, hey, that's wrong. And don't be afraid of nobody. When you know there's something going on, whether it's the spraying, whether there's something going on in education, whatever, don't be afraid, because that's why it's happening. Because everybody thinks, I'm not going putting my head above because they'll see me and they might damage me or attack me. It's like when everybody stands up, that's when we win. That's when it all stops.
Yeah, exactly. And I've seen that a guy, he got I think the police went round to his house because he just liked some posts on whatever, Facebook or whatever it was. I mean, that's insanity. That would, I mean, if you've got that kind of job and someone says, right, you have to go around to this guy's house, that shows what kind of bad character you are. You go, oh yeah, all right, I'll do that then.
Yeah.
You know,
Or else the wheel is turning, the hamsters, they're just not, you tell me what to do. Like, they either love it because they love the power, or they're just, the brain cells aren't working, like they're not firing.
yeah, but you don't think that what it was? I've said this for years and years and years, and I'll say it all the time. This is we're here as a prison planet. We were put here on purpose. However, they got to this stage, right? It is a prison planet, and that's why we're here. We were, or our ancestors, or even our souls were put here as a prison, and it's up to us to learn how to get out of it. But until we learn how to get out of it, you're going to keep coming back to it and back to it and back to it, and we're in a prison, and that's all there is to it. And there's no such thing as a human line. There's loads of different species here. There is. And they're all put here in prison. And some of these people that are in councils, right? And like in like governments, right? Like you see them, and politicians and policemen, and they are not the same. They have no empathy and they have no compassion. Why? Right? Because they are not the same as like we feel. Right? We feel, that should be like empathetic. We should be helping. We should be like allowing like assistance for the young and for the elderly. They don't care. Right? It's like, if you look at the attitude and the arrogance of people that work in councils, they're not normal compared to like the way I feel was like, I should help somebody that falls over. I should pick them up. Right. If there's like somebody that hasn't got enough food, I have to give them some food. Right. Like, you help like younger people, right, to make sure they stay safe and everything like that. And you help elderly people who have went through, right, their lifetime, if they need help across the road, or they need like, to like take the shopping in for them or something, clean the garden for them, then you do it, because that's how you should be. If you want to call it human nature, right? I just don't like the word human, but they aren't whatever we are. They are a different species. Some people will call them greys or NPCs or fillers, whatever, but they're definitely not there as somebody who would, they're the ones that will see you drop your wallet, take the money out, and then give you it back. The they're just not the same. And that's why I think, we've definitely been put here for a reason, but I think it's because it's a prison. However, we've ended up here for whatever reason, even if it's just for a test, but, we've been put here, species and species and species. We're not all the same. And, I don't think there's anybody in this street, right? Possibly not even in my village, that's the same. I just like, you just see them, they're just like graying. They're just like literally no emotion about them. They've got no soul. And I think that's the thing when you got these people that are like, working in a council and that would do these disgusting things and think that you can act and talk to people like that, and that it's all right to push people to the brink of where they actually do think, well, there's only one way out of this, and that's to get off the realm, unalive, but they're pushing that until they get to the debt collectors.
100%. And it's like a lot of people are fighting for, helping suicide and doing this eviction, homelessness and everything. Most of this is created at government and council level. And I've had a lot of companies, and I dealt with the councils, and they're all scum. Like, you rarely get a nice person that's there. And even if you do, they know the person is nice, so they'll bring the Rottweiler with them. And they just treat you like you're a piece of shit. They are so horrible. But once you kind of learn your freedom and face up to them, you see them buckling. And that's the thing. Most people think that they have authority over you and that they're so great and everything. Once you and don't sign anything, that's the most important thing. When you realize the power of the signature, because they get you to basically hang yourself. They're saying, here's the rope there, just hang yourself. And you're going, no, I'm not going to sign that. And I wish I knew that 20 years ago, because all of the stuff that happened to me was me not understanding it. But like, same with the police and everything. I mean, when you I've had properties where we got evictions for the people, but the city's supposed to provide it. And then they were supposed to pay me the money for the rent, because they said they didn't have the accommodation, so the city's supposed to pay. When I came after the city to pay me, I had to go to court, because after a year, they still didn't pay. They attacked me in every direction. They had the police, I call them rubbish police. They had the technical inspectors. I was attacked from every direction, and I just lost the plot. I want to say, that's when I really realized how bad the whole system is. And I'd shouted, I'd done it a few times, the police, they fucking put their head down. It was like most people buckle and pay, over 100 quid fine and everything. I was like, this is wrong. An alcohol shop up the road, the people taking the little thing, putting it on the window, and I get a fine for that. And that's what they were doing. And then technical inspectors. But you don't realize the corruption. And same with the housing, because we bought lots of houses. You don't realize it till you're in there. And when you see it, there's millions and millions and millions of people going through this daily. And it's all happening because we're just kind of going, it's his problem. Oh, this week I've had my little thing, let's move on. Or they threaten to publish it, and the letters you get, everything is soul destroying. And as you said, they don't have empathy. Not one normal person could be writing to. I remember bailiff letters, you just, all the different bailiffs that they were doing. And I went in at one stage, the guy was coming out, the postman, like this, with his hands full about 4 times in just one bailiff's office. And another time I got a letter, and I was so used to bailiff's letter at this stage. I opened it, and it was to a 77-year-old woman. Can you imagine how an elderly person feels? And they plus interest, plus penalties, and all this crap.
Mm-hmm.
It's and that goes on in the UK. And I know you're helping people with that, the GDPR, but there's so many people around the world going through this, and it's we have to stop it. And if somebody's working in these offices, shame on you if you think you're actually doing something for society. That's all I say. Any job you're doing, is your job actually helping society, or is it hurting society? And if it's hurting society, there's something wrong with you. You need to get out of it, because that's why we have got this problem. Because traffic wardens, all these different things, they're all things that are soul destroying. They're not helping one person. So why do you think you're worth something in the world? Why do we need that? We don't.
Yeah. Yeah, but talking about GDPR, so let's just take it to, right, look at these things, 2 things, right? Let's say the debt first, right? And I'm talking about unsecured debt. So say a bank loan, a credit card, catalog, personal finance, that type of stuff, right? Not a mortgage, not on a car finance where it's tied to the car or anything like that, just a loan or a credit card, right? And I mean, the amount of people that I actually get, because obviously I talk about debt, and I get hundreds, and I'm not lying, hundreds every single day coming. It's quite overwhelming, and a lot of times you've got to try and switch off, because it is quite depressing. These people they are suffering, But then these debt collectors, what they do, and the whole thing is based on a lie. This is the thing, though. They have got a business model that has been created on deception and corruption. And it is a business model. So it isn't by that they're doing it by accident. So you've got a lot of these groups, these credit, like not, well, credit reference agencies. I've just went and created this document with another guy, an ex-Royal Marine, who's been doing a lot of studying, and we can actually start suing the credit reference agencies now. We've got the proof to do it. But on the unsecured debt side, I'm not even talking about utility bills or phone, but anything that's just on credit, what you've signed for, i.e. credit cards, bank loans, catalogs, that type of thing. If they've created that debt, right, whatever it is, and then you cannot pay it back, right, the bank, let's just say it's a bank, they've got an insurance policy. Now, after 90 days, they're gonna cash in that insurance policy. So if you owe £10,000, they will get that £10,000 immediately, even though they never gave you the money in the first place. I'll not go down that route because it's a bit technical, but they didn't even give you the money in the first place, but they have now got an extra 10,000 because they've cashed in an insurance policy. And then they sell not the debt, but your data. And they sell your data to these collection agencies on bidding websites, basically like kind of an eBay type of thing, but for debt, and they'll buy a big block of data. That's what they're buying, blocks of data. They are not buying the specific debts. So that £1 million of data that they buy for 10 grand, right? The value to them will be 200 quid. So then they've now got your data. They have got no legally executed deed of assignment to say they have taken legal duty or legal hold over your debt. Now, all debt, and I'm pretty sure across any common law or civil law country, it's the same. It's all treated, but definitely in like the UK, Ireland, it is treated as an intangible property. So if you go bankrupt, for instance, what they'll do first thing is, if it's a business, they'll go through it then and say, right, who owes you money then? Because that's an asset. And we have to go over that. We have to go after that asset. So even though it's debt, it's an asset. So because it's an asset, it's classed as an intangible property, but it's still property under the Law of Property Act 1925. And by that, if they try and sell it, assign it, transfer it, use whatever term you want, they can only do it lawfully and legally with a legally executed deed of assignment. And if they haven't got that deed of assignment for an unsecured normal debt, or even a mortgage actually, but let's stick with the unsecured for now, they do not have the proof of ownership of that debt. They bought your data. They didn't buy the debt. So they haven't got the legally executed deed of assignment, which is under the Law of Property Miscellaneous Provisions Act 1989. And it needs to be a deed that has been signed by the assignor and a witness giving it to an assignee. And then they can send you a notice of assignment. But what they try and say is, all we have to do is show you the notice. That's literally me writing you a letter saying you owe me 10 grand now because you used to owe it to the bank, and give it. So remember though, they've already cashed their insurance policy in. So there's no debt to sell. They've got it back. Not that they gave you in the first place, but if they had, they've already got it back. So they've sold your data, which is completely illegal. And then these debt companies, knowing that you were never in debt in the first place, knowing that the bank has cashed in an insurance policy, knowing that they've only bought a piece of data, then threaten the life out of you. And most of these people, are just like programmed, and they're so indoctrinated through fear, right, through the television, through the schooling indoctrination system, that as soon as they start to get these letters, these threats, these nasty big words, and they're in red, and they're saying this is going to happen, that's going to happen, you're going to go to court, you're going to get visited by your bailiff, and these are the type of vicious, evil, like putrid letters that are getting sent out, poison pen letters, basically, to like scare people that don't owe the money in the first place, into actually paying. So, I mean, what kind of disgusting, soulless, heartless creature can actually like put those like letters and send them out to people. Some of them pensioners, some of them like and a lot of it, through the last like 4 or 5 years, some people had great businesses. The government shut them all down, and then millions and millions of people who've never been in debt in their life are in loads of debt now, right? Never in their life, and they don't know what to do. And suicide rates, right? They're going up. They're doing like 18 a week. That's not a coincidence.
I'd say it's
And
a lot more because most people are ashamed of writing it down, so they pretend that it was an accident. I know that from years ago. That I'd say the numbers are way higher than that.
probably are way higher. But
Unfortunately.
it's and that's the kind of thing that you're actually dealing with. And so they are, there's no way that you can say that they are one of mankind, because it's definitely not kind, and the council are identical. The council are vile. Anyone who works in a council there is just absolutely disgusting. You see the letters that come out from the councils, and the ignorance and the arrogance of them is shocking, absolutely shocking. And you just think, hang on a second, do you go home and if you got a baby or somebody at home that you think like, and you cuddle them or something, because you're just like, to me, is just a heartless piece of ice. It's your attitude and your arrogance is vile to the actual smell of it. It's crazy.
Yeah. No, excellent. Another one. We might finish up this one. Holistic dentistry, because it's one that I've always been curious about, and I think that was another one that, when you're younger, the fillings, and then there was the mercury fillings, and I realized how dangerous they were. And I remember I got 4 of them taken out, and if you saw the way it was like a balloon that he put in my mouth, did all different suctions because it was dangerous. And I'm like, it's in my mouth. If it's that dangerous, sure, how many times did you break a tooth and swallow the filling and everything? So if they're really, this is so dangerous if you swallow it. But I know they've kind of changed from, well, I don't know, maybe some countries they're still doing the mockery, but even the wisdom tooth and everything, that they tell you need to get rid of your wisdom teeth. And apparently that's another lie as well. But with the holistic dentistry, enlighten us, Peter.
Well, I mean, I don't really know much about it. The guy that was supposed to be coming to the event didn't turn up, right?
He was at the dentist.
Yeah, he was at the dentist. Yeah, the toothache. So he didn't turn up. But I mean, if you think about it on a medical side, then on the holistic side, I think you want to be trying to do everything holistically rather than like pharmaceutically anyway. I'm cloves, right? Well, can you remember I used to go into the dentist and they used to smell of cloves. That's what it would smell of. That was the dentist smell, because they're supposed to be just eat the cloves. They're supposed to be really good for your health, good for your teeth. Now, if you've ever seen Barbara O'Neill or heard any Barbara O'Neill talks or videos or anything like that, and you got to listen to the way she talks and the energy, talking about energy, talking about you can actually grow your own teeth back. So obviously it's going to take a lot of like thought and a lot of practice on to do that. But if you can do that, and she's saying that you can cure yourself, you are so powerful, you can cure yourself of any disease whatsoever. I do 100% take that. Yeah,
I've seen a load of videos. There's this natural stuff that people are taking, and they're getting rid of cavities and everything, and regrowing their teeth. That's something we were kind of believed that doesn't happen. Oh, you have a hole, you need to fill it in. That's what we were. And once you fill it in, it can't repair itself.
Yeah. Well, a lot of times they create the hole, don't they? And then they fill it.
Like that's the thing. You go into the dentist. Oh, you've got cavity. I'm convinced half of them, unfortunately. I mean, it's like the doctors. You might get 5% that are kind of okay. I don't know, dentists, but a lot of them. I mean, what's their aim in life? To make as much money as possible. Yeah. Oh, that tooth has to come out. Oh, we have to fill that. We have to do this. We have to do that. It's like, unfortunately, that's the world we live in.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, it's all pharmaceuticals anyway, and it's like you can see getting bigger and bigger and bigger. I think they're probably jealous of like doctors, the amount of money that they get through pharmaceutical companies. Probably jealous of vets as well, because they probably get more. Right, the vets, the whole thing is an industry of just pharmaceuticals, as simple as. But we look at the holistic way. I mean, I would like to know more about the dentistry side. Maybe we should listen to more than Barbara O'Neill. But it isn't just Bob O'Neill. Janine listens to a guy, and all he does is talk about herbs. Everything's a herbal remedy, and he tells you how powerful the herbs are. And you've got to be careful how you mix them and how you take them, and because they're so powerful, they can make you ill. The same. So you got to take them in the correct doses and in the correct mixtures. But he's like never been to the dentist in his life. He's got a full set of teeth, beautiful big white teeth, and he uses a stick, and I can't remember the name of the stick. And that's how he cleans his teeth. He brushes them with this stick. A lot of it is coming onto the westernized way that people live. And, I'm not going to say anything about specific names or anything, but you've seen a lot of people when we were running the martial arts gym, and instead of having a drink of water, there would be people coming in with fizzy drinks, like, they full of sugar. I think, well, why are you taking that when you've come to a fitness class? Like, it's martial arts, it's still fitness oriented, it's like, and you're going to drink that in between training. It's like, that's disgusting. And your own sugar level in your body's going to be flying up. By the time you leave, you're going to be feeling terrible, so but it's you take it to the Western philosophy or the Western way of lazy life, really. Like, if you just look at the food, look at the actual processed food, the fast food, it's all just vile and disgusting. But that must go into the holistic side of things. I mean, like, when we're looking at things more and more and more now, is we're trying to look at ways of, like, how do we make sure that we never have to go to the doctor, if your arm's going to fall off or something like that, I don't think we've got much of a choice. But, like, for anything, like, say, I've got a headache, or some people say I've got a cold, I've got the flu. I don't think that exists, by the way. That's just your body detoxing itself, and it's supposed to do that. And the more toxins you put into it, the worse flu that you are going to get, so let your body detox itself and don't complain about it because you put it in the first place. Fair enough, not the spraying or all that, but I mean, the dog shits and the coca crap that you put in and everything, you know what I mean? Do you want fries with that and all that shit? You did it, you put it in there, so it's got to come out and detox. But how do you do this? So I think looking at more holistic medicine, homeopathic, as like Janine now has got a lot of homeopathic kits that we use for the dogs as well as for ourselves. Any infections like that, you can get rid of all of that through homeopathy. Like, they've got like what is the equivalent of penicillin? They've got the antibiotics, but it's an equivalent with no side effects. And it's very gentle on the actual body. And the body, if it doesn't need something, it will just let it pass through without a nasty side effect. Whereas, like, pharmaceuticals, I think no matter what you're taking to get rid of that actual illness, ailment, injury, pain, is doing something else behind it, which is 10 times worse than what you're actually getting rid of. I mean, the stuff that they give you for like high blood pressure, go in and get statins in there. I mean, that's going to give you more high blood cholesterol and kill you anyway. Chemotherapy. If we kill you with chemotherapy, you don't have to worry about your cancer because you're fucking dead. Yeah. It's true.
And I mean, I know people, they have cured people, and there's like the spooky 2 device. There's even, I think it's the avocado seeds. There's noni juice. There's a lot of different things. And every time I hear of somebody, I just say, look, and most of them go, no, I'll stick to this. And within a year, they're gone, unfortunately. And it's like, just try it anyway before. And like, you just look at the ingredients in the chemo, like, just check it out. But unfortunately, you have to look after your own health. Go away and do the research. And like, even just because we say, what can we do and everything? Like today, there's the fog, the fog that's kind of, and it's bad. Like, and I mean, we know this is toxic and they're able to drop it now and it's all over the world. But what I did, I'm recording it. I've created a group now. I'm putting the date and I've tagged the airport, which airport. I said, are they flying from here? And then I've posted on TikTok and I've tagged the mayor of which. I said, this is happening under your watch. What about your children? This is affecting the food. And I don't care. I'm just keep doing. And I think the more people can do that, start tagging them, because there's lots of times when somebody's doing something or a company, when you start posting on social media and hashtagging or tagging them, they don't like that because they can't remove it. Because as we talked earlier, a lot of these things are kind of out there. Maybe they can remove a tag because they don't want to be tagged, but usually there's a few people who will see it anyway. And once there's a bit of engagement, it's too late. And, just when you see something, call it out. So others should do the same. Record these things. I'm recording it and dating it because then I've got proof. Because all of this is there. And I put it on a few social media platforms because, we've talked about it before, regarding I got kicked off so many, you do as well, you get strikes. So have it in a few places so that you'll always have a reserve. And you could even put it onto your own server as well. But I think start tagging them. When you know someone's doing something wrong, tagging the city, tagging the government, tagging them, and just keep doing that. And then if you see somebody who's doing that, go in and like it and comment if you agree with them and everything. Even if you don't, just don't abuse people, no matter what your belief system is. You can be curious, just don't be abusive. But that's how we can actually make change as well.
No, definitely. By not paying attention or not doing anything, seen this great little video. It was only about like a minute long or something. It was like so there was like the little mouse in the farmhouse, and he heard a snap. So he went to have a look outside of his hole, and he could see that they'd put a mouse trap in the farmhouse. So he was panicking. So he ran out to go and tell the chickens, and he said to the chickens, there's a deadly weapon in the farmhouse. And the chickens were saying, well, how is that going to affect me? It's not my problem. So the chicken just ignored him. So he ran out and he said to the lamb, says, there's a death trap, there's a mouse trap being put in the house. It's going to kill me. And the lamb said, well, it's not my problem. I don't think it's going to come in the field here. So he went up to see the cow and said to the cow, he says, there's a mouse trap in the house. It's going to kill me. I need some help. And says, well, I'm 10 times 20 times the size of you. I don't have to worry about a mouse trap. It's not my problem. There's nothing I can do about it. So, they went back in there, and then what he'd done is they heard the actual mouse trap go, but it wasn't actually a mouse. It was the tail of a poison snake that the actual mouse trap had snapped on. So the snake spun around because the farmer's wife went to see. She thought she caught a mouse. The snake bit her, so she died. So he was grief stricken. So what he tried to do, before she died, he actually went and killed the chicken to make some chicken soup, because that's what people always do to try and make you feel better. She didn't get better through the chicken soup, so he killed the chicken. So then the next thing he went is he had the family come round to look after us, so he needed more food. So he went and slaughtered the lamb so he could actually feed the more family the lamb. And then when she died, they had to have a feast with everyone coming to the funeral. So he went and slaughtered the cow so that he'd actually have food to give to everyone for the funeral. So if you don't pay attention when someone's telling you a problem, it could end up being your problem even more.
Lovely. Really. Listen, Peter, as always, thoroughly enjoyed it. So where can people find you?
Well, if you go on to school.com, this is going to be the easiest way now. Go on to school.com and then just search for Checkmate the Matrix. So you can actually go on there and you can join it for free. Just go on there. There's a load of information on there for free. It's like my platform, Checkmate the Matrix, but it's on school.com. So go on there, have a look, and then you can see all the other things that we actually do as well. So that would be the easiest way to actually find. Or go on to the YouTube channel, which is Return to True Democracy.
I'll make sure I put the links below the audio and video, and I look forward to chatting with you again next month.
Not be long.
Perfect. So you'll find all the episodes on awakeningpodcast.org. Find everything about me. You see the QR code there. And, if you're looking for a virtual assistant, va.world and roycollin.com. Until next week, take care.